Now we'd like to hear from one of our exceptional USA Fellows, a leader in the movement to recognize the rightful place of Native Americans in our country's social order and rectify injustices of the past while helping chart the course for a better future. Christina Snider-Ashtari is a lawyer who serves as California's most senior official in Native American matters. Now, if I asked you to name the state with the largest Native American population, you'd probably think, well, is it Oklahoma? Is it Arizona? It's California, home to the nation's largest population of Native Americans. Christina serves in California government and helps California serve as a laboratory for moving forward in this unfinished business of history. Christina is California's Tribal Affairs Secretary in Governor Newsom's office, a member of the Dry Creek Rancheria Band of Pomo Indians. She's the author of the state's executive orders formally apologizing to Native peoples for the state's role in their genocide and establishing a Truth and Healing Council to examine the destruction of Native lands. Christina traveled on her fellowship to New Zealand and Australia to study those nations' respective reconciliation efforts with their Maori and Aboriginal populations. She's returned home to apply what she learned in the service of her people. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Christina Snider-Ashtari.
Hi, everyone. Duwe Kotiwa, good evening, and thank you to George DeLama for inviting me to share a few thoughts with you on my fellowship and how it is a part of my life's journey from the ancestral homelands of the Lenape peoples. My name is Christina Snider-Ashtari, and I am Mihila Kauna, people of the Westwater, and Makamo, people of the Salmon Hole. And I'm a member of the Dry Creek Rancheria Band of Pomo Indians, a small Native American tribe located on the Russian River in Northern California. Prior to European contact, California was once home to the largest and most diverse population of indigenous people north of what is now Mexico. But a history of violence, dispossession, and greed has rendered us statistically extinct. In fact, the only reason I'm here today, as one of maybe 1,000 people left in my tribe, is because of the bold sacrifices of the matriarchs who came before me. I would not be here except for the fact that my great-great-great-grandmother hid in coastal caves from American militiamen seeking our destruction during the early days of California statehood. I would not be able to greet you in my language except for the fact that my great-grandmother made the contentious decision to work with a linguist to ensure that future generations could access our language or access the language our people have spoken since time immemorial. It's a tragedy that more Americans don't know the loss we experienced when they decided to manifest their destinies at our expense. And I've worked throughout my career to daylight these experiences as our shared history in an effort to address the systemic issues that continue to plague Indian country. After doing this kind of work for years at the highest levels of government, I was approaching that feeling that many of us get at various points in our charges to change the world. The feeling like you have nothing more to give, like you're at the absolute bottom of your well of hope, inspiration, and spirit. And then I was blessed with this fellowship. What I found on the other side of the world were people just like me, with the same hopes, fears, and dreams, all wondering if they were doing the right thing and whether their efforts would create the kind of lasting change that we were hoping for our people. In my travels through Aotearoa and Australia, I met several Indigenous leaders who, similarly to me, were hungry for connection, for understanding, for others who have carried the same hopes and dreams of our ancestors to see our common cause and validate that we're not alone, that what we're doing is making a difference, and that the rising tide that we're calling forth is actually lifting each other's boats. Not only did this fellowship provide me with the ability to make these deep and lasting connections, it allowed me to truly open up to rich discourse with Indigenous leaders striving for the same things for their people. And most importantly, it allowed me to see the possible as attainable. All across Aotearoa and Australia, the dominant culture's awareness of Indigenous people and issues far surpassed anything I had seen back at home. And everyone I met took for granted that my work to elevate Native people in the United States was a no-brainer. Coming back to California, I felt incredibly renewed. I could see where to take the work and how to move forward. New opportunities that had never occurred to me now seemed obvious. And, in a major stroke of luck, the work I had been leading in California, Truth and Healing Process for California Native Americans, with an accompanying documentary, received generous support from the Heartland Foundation right when I got back. So I'd like to thank Steven Spielberg for his foundation's investment. So I'd like to thank him for his investment in our truth-telling initiative in California. Even with this renewed outlook, and some very good momentum, coming back has not been easy. Seeing what we could achieve while confronting the reality of the widespread ignorance of Native people, issues, and history in this nation has been daunting. But with this fellowship network, and with the deep and meaningful relationships I've had the privilege to cultivate in my fellowship travels, I no longer feel like I'm alone in this work, and that in itself gives me enormous hope. I now feel that I can truly rely on others with shared values to help me achieve a vision of visibility, equity, and excellence for Native people in the United States. And when times get hard, which they inevitably will when you're trying to change the world, I'll lean on the wisdom of the Honorable Linda Burney, who serves as minister for us, or for Indigenous Australians, and said this when I asked her how she's been able to continue to show up in her work as an Indigenous woman in a country resistant to change. She said, "I just don't take shit from people." I'm diplomatic, I'm graceful, and I'm fiercely determined. So in that spirit, I'll continue to fight the good fight with all of you as my allies. Thank you again for this opportunity, and I look forward to seeing what we can accomplish together.